Hello, dear womb sisters. It's Erica Macy. Like I sent you an invitation before. I would like to do a Wyrding Way book reading. It should have started 5 minutes ago. I planned to do it with you, dear Sama, but unfortunately you cannot attend due to wildfires in your area, and I really hope that you get some water soon and that the fires are gonna go down. And Penny and Ave, they said they wanted to attend as well. Oh, there is Ava.
Hi.
Hi, Ava.
How are you, Erica?
Oh, I'm good. I'm very glad you're joining me. So I thought I just have to start by myself because it's already transmitting live into the biomystical apprenticeship site. So I thought, oh well, I have to brave to do it alone. So I'm even more happy that you're coming to join me. Thank you.
Totally sorry I'm a little late.
No worries. I think you're here. So I think I'm just gonna start since it's already broadcasting live. So I've got a candle for us here. This is a symbol for the protection of ancestors. So I've got that.
That's awesome.
For us, since my ancestors have been very paramount in writing my book and reconnecting with them. And I've got a nice oracle card.
Oh.
Flow.
Awesome.
Beautiful. And have more of that to take with us. Yeah, and before I'm just gonna start reading some passages which I found quite good to introduce my book and to get a bit of more of an insight what it's all about. I like to just center ourselves first and take a few deep breaths and chant weird with me, or you can do it just silently for yourself, but I will chant it. Because weird is the web of all life, which is like the womb of all creation, and it always helps me to chant through the energies, connect with the womb. Yeah, so I invite you to just close your eyes if you like. Get more centered. I also like to do this mudra. Maybe if you like to open your eyes just briefly, if you like to do this mudra with your hands, I always like to do that as well, and put it in front of my womb, which always helps me to center. And whilst taking a few deep breaths, the weird is the in-between, between an in and out breath. And if you've got an intention or a question, you're welcome to plant it in the womb, in this mudra space. And when I chant weird 3, 4, 5 times now, just focus on the in-between space, between the in and out breath, because this is where where everything lives and arises from this big womb of all possibilities. And just feel how through our breath we are really connected consciously with this space, the weird space, where we can plant our intentions, our questions. We can plant anything there. And it's above us, below. We can feel how the breath is running through our whole body, down to Mother Earth, and up to Father Sky. Yeah, and I invite you slowly to come back. You can stretch ourselves and to slowly come back in the here and now and feel like the weird is all around us and with us. How are you feeling now?
More patient, I'd say. A little bit more. Mm-hmm.
Patient?
Patient. More aware of the weird space.
How's the weird space for you right now?
She's deep.
Deep.
She's hurting a little. And sensitive, maybe. And maybe wanting attention.
I didn't hear that acoustically, maybe?
Oh, in need of my attention.
In need of your attention.
How is your weird space?
My weird space is excited because I'm going to share about the space. So it's like excitement and nervousness. It's both, like excitement and nervousness. It's like the water, like bit like when it goes up, like starts to. On the German word I can think of as like a fountain, which starts to like go up, a bit like that. Not very big. It's just starting to rise.
That's beautiful.
Yeah. And I'm gonna go with the first, like this wave. So like, do you know how it's called when it starts to like sprudel? It's like the water which goes up like this.
Like water bubbles, like bubbler.
Yeah, bubbles. Yeah.
Imagine little ripples.
Yes. That's it. Bubbles, like the first bubbles come up. So I'm going to go with the bubbles.
Awesome.
And my book is called The Wyrding Way. On the front cover, those are actually the three Norns, Nordic mythology. They're called Urd. She stands for the past. She's holding the timeline of the past. And Verdanti, she's holding the timeline of the present. And Skuld, she's holding the timeline of the future. So, and it is said that those giantesses have woven the whole web of life. So everything which exists, all different dimensions of God, elves, dwarfs, spirits, you name it. It is said in Nordic mythology they have woven it all. So they're very, very powerful creatures, giantesses. And it is said that they sit by the world tree Yggdrasil. And the world tree in Nordic mythology is called Yggdrasil, which is translated the horse of god Odin. And this Drasil is like the horse. The horse is said to travel between the different worlds, between the underworld, the physical world, and the spiritual world. And they sit by the Urdbrunnen. It's a well of endless wisdom.
Wow.
And it's said that they are going to this well every day and they water the world tree every single day. And there's a lot of meaning and deep wisdom in this symbology, because it's like us. It's an invitation to us to get to the root of our own true nature every day. Because then when we water our world tree, which we are, if we live our fullest potential, if we water this tree, we can also be like this all-wise, all-living world tree, Yggdrasil. Yes. And it's also said that they have carved the runes from the world tree. That's why the runes are for me very sacred. And I also do rune readings, especially the 9 worlds rune readings, which are also known as the Yggdrasil readings. The world tree is said to have 9 dimensions, 9 branches. And in those rune readings, we can also discover where we have got like supportive energy from which dimensions, where it's blocked, then it's possible to have like other runes to harmonize the energetic blockages. So it's very special and a very profound 9 worlds rune readings. For anybody who is interested, I give those.
Wow. What is a ruin? Is it a dimension or is it like a...
Runes are those like sacred, like it's like an alphabet. Elder Futhark is the oldest known rune alphabet. It's a very old, symbolic language.
Wow.
Yeah. And all those symbols carry energies and are connected to the universe in a certain way. And the more we dive, the deeper we dive, like the Norns, who are said to have carved the runes from the world tree Yggdrasil, the more we gain wisdom of the interconnectedness of everything in the universe, and also how it's working through us, because we are also connected to the universe. Even if we sometimes feel like it is never the case. It's just sometimes our energies are blocked, or we cannot see something because it lies in the unconscious. And it's a very powerful tool of reconnection to our life force energy. And so
Wow. That's so cool.
and my book starts with a poem, which I like to read. Where do I come from, and how did I pick up my unique life thread? Thread is this is the thread.
Wow.
It's the big ball. I always use this as the big web of life, which is all interwoven.
Mm-hmm.
But the main responsibility for us is to pick up our unique red thread, to then feel which part we play in this big web of life, which is also called the weird. So poem, I come from the mountains in Almaty, from a country in the Asian Far East called Kazakhstan. A strong root remains forever there. I come from my mother Natasha, herself carrying Ukrainian roots. I will be forever grateful for her creativity that I am now carrying forth. I come from nature and the trees connected to the world tree Yggdrasil, weaving destiny just like the Three Nouns by the root of the world tree. I come from a father with German roots, having settled in Germany, but traveling to Kazakhstan and all around the world by heart. I come from the stars and travel there as often as I can, especially by night. Others call that lucid dreaming. I come from all my ancestors coming before me and after me. I feel connected with the past, present, and future. I weave all timelines which come together and through me into the evolutionary tapestry called life. I come from weird, and I return to weird from the very present moment. The only location that I can be sure of coming and becoming. Each and every moment, now, the only thing that exists. Благодарю. In Russian, it's with God's blessings. And I love this quote, begin to weave and the divine will provide the thread. So now we are picking up the thread. And I read from the introduction. From disconnection to picking up of the unique life thread. I heard the call of my soul and picked up my unique destiny thread almost 3 years ago after I read the book Entering the Circle by Olga Kariditi, a Siberian psychologist, psychotherapist.
Oh.
A passage in the book reads, now, you are in your inner space. Each of us has this inner space. But during the lives of most people, it becomes smaller and smaller. As we go through life, the world around us tries to fill up and kill this inner space. In my experience, I also felt disconnected most of my life from this inner space, my intuition, my thread of wisdom. Only since healing my inner child wounds, traveling back to my ancestral roots, and picking up the thread of remembrance, literally in Siberia, Kazakhstan, and Mongolia, and in a metaphorical way, I feel whole and in touch with this inner world and my unique destiny thread again. And here in this book, this is my story, or I like to call it a destiny thread unfolding. In the book, it's in black and white. This is the tree where I connected. It has got 9 trunks in Kazakhstan, in Almaty, where I was brought up the first 9 years of my life. And only after 30 years, I reconnected with my family and my ancestral land. So this very important connection to this tree, which has got 9 trunks, like the world tree Yggdrasil. And I met with many shamans on my trip. When I learned to embroider Kazakh-style embroidery in Mongolia with an elder indigenous shaman, I felt such a deep reconnective moment when looking into her eyes. It was like the grandmother of all origins from this cultural background called Umai was speaking to me and was saying, "So good you returned back home and that you started to hold the ancestral thread. Now continue to recover all the lost stories and threads from our cultural heritage." Also the raven is my main goddess energy of the wise one expressing through me in my shamanic dress, weaves the old ancestral knowledge through me. I've got her embroidered here in my shamanic dress. She's my main goddess.
Wow. And you learned about her from the shaman that you met?
Those were two Russian women. They were given it's called soul tree horoscope. And it's called a tree because we are really like a tree. And in Slavic tradition, it is said that 7 main goddesses, which are called Bereginis in Russian, supporting us on our life path. And 3 of them coming from the roots, from our ancestors. And the main goddess is in the middle, which for me is the raven. And 3 other Bereginis are like the branches. That's why I put them in the dress or here on my sleeves, because if I put them up, they're also like branches. And those Bereginis move us forwards to fulfill our soul purpose. And we can connect with them anytime when we learn how to call them in. For me, it was most powerful to embroider. Like that's how my transformation happened, because it's a very slow practice and you connect with the energies of the symbols, of the divine energies, and especially on a dress, because that's for me conscious destiny weaving. You really connected to those energies, and we are ourselves taken into our own hands, and this is very powerful because we become true creators of our own destiny that way.
And it's on your body.
It's on the body. It's like the second skin, like our second higher self's skin. And in Slavic tradition, women who practice this kind of embroidery, you can nowadays even measure the aura, the energies, and you have got a very powerful aura in those dresses because you really feel connected and whole in yourself.
Wow. Beautiful.
Have you got another question or should I continue?
Oh, please continue.
Okay. So this feminine elder ancestral energy of Umai is abound in my life. For example, I also started a Facebook group. It's called the Co-Creative Destiny Weaving. And this book is all about this destiny thread on following of my unique soul thread unfolding, the Wyrding Way. Weird comes from Norse language and it means weaving. And there's also a rune of weird, which is basically nothing. So yeah, a rune of nothingness. By centering ourselves in the web of weird, the womb of all existence, like we did at the beginning, the void of nothingness, and at the same time all possibilities, I will show you how we can all become conscious destiny weavers of our reality. I call that the Wyrding Way, like the title of this book. My vision board at the beginning of this book, don't know whether you can see it.
Mm-hmm.
It's also similar, like the point in the middle, that's where we center ourselves, like to the breath at the beginning. We can really learn to center in the in-between space between the in and out breath, because this is the ever-expanding web of weird, or the dark matter where everything originates from.
Mm.
And through the chanting, through the visualizing, and to consciously concentrate on this space, that's how we can plant our attentions, and we receive the messages from the divine, from symbolism around us. We become really, multidimensional beings and seers, which we all are. We just sometimes don't know how to tap into this space.
Mm.
So this vision board is like centering in the middle of nothingness, and at the same time is within the big world tree. It's got big roots. So we are also like this world tree. With the world tree, it's said also to be connected to everything, all dimensions. And it's black and white, but there are the Norns in it, and a poem about the thread, the invisible thread. So parallel to this book, I'm calling in a global circle of 13 wise Wyrding sisters together. I've planted the seed of intention to call together another 12 women as a powerful circle of wise women of 13 conscious destiny weavers all together, including myself. Wise women who take their destiny into their own hands and start weaving a new evolutionary tapestry of humanity. Just like my first local destiny weaving circle from last year, here locally, we were exactly 13. That was magical. Most recently, the grandmother Umai of my ancestral lineage appeared to me again and again, calling me to bring together our ancestral threads and starting to weave the new tapestry. I feel this is part of soul retrieval of feminine ancestral wisdom from the Far East, and a missing piece in the global tapestry of wisdom keepers, like the 13 grandmothers, for instance. There are no women from Siberia or Mongolia represented in the 13 Grandmothers Council. For example, Albight shamanism is claimed to originate from Siberia. It's a Siberian word, shamanism. It's like a healer and the bridge builder between the physical and the divine. So I feel that my sacred embroidery and what the shaman told me in Mongolia in 2017 has become my own unique destiny thread unfolding, to bring together ancestral threads and weave them into the new evolutionary tapestry of life emerging. My sacred embroidery practice has been paramount to me in connecting with the void, the web of weird, and also the three Nouns of fate in Norse mythology, like I said before, Urt, Verdandi, and Skuld. Weird in Norse language, I already said that, stands for weaving from the ever unfolding present. Similar to the rune Weird, which was added later to the elder Futhark, the alphabet. Weird means nothingness, where at the same time everything originates from. With this book, my main objective is to help to center ourselves in this space of nothingness and place our intentions there for them to manifest in reality, so that we can become the co-creators of our own destiny. My embroidery practice takes place from weird and becomes sacred through the connection with the ever-unfolding present, the Wyrding Way, like I like to call it in this book. And why am I being called to write this book? For remembrance, reconnection, receiving and passing on of feminine ancestral wisdom. This book will show you the mysterious art of weaving your own thread of destiny. It will weave you into wholeness again. If you ever felt like being pulled in all different directions by others and their expectations, instead of holding and consciously weaving your own destiny from within your center, your essence, then this book will bring you inside the center of your own being. We all have a sacred destiny thread, our unique soul purpose we came here to fulfill and to fully self-actualize. But we often get distracted, forget, or simply lose touch with this sacred thread inside. Like those words by Michael Mead, to pick up the invisible thread of our own story and follow where it leads. This book will support you in picking up of your unique invisible thread, so that you can come back to wholeness of your own essence that you already are. From this wholeness, you can become and co-create your own destiny from the inside out in the most conscious way.
Mm.
This quote by Michael Mead is beautiful. Our job is not to comprehend or control everything, but to learn which story we are in and which of the many things calling out in the world is calling to us. Our job is to be fully alive in the life we have, to pick up the invisible thread of our own story and follow where it leads.
Mm.
If you've got any questions?
Yeah. How or when did you, I guess, find that weaving was how what was your process like to get to weaving as or weirding as your way? Like how did you birth that way into existence?
Well, it started when I've attended a workshop where a Russian embroidery master came, and I just heard the calling. I must have probably been embroidering my past life. I never had anything to do with it in this life, but I've heard the call and I followed the call. Like in this quote, it's like, if you hear the call of the thread, it's only the responsibility to follow where it leads. And that's where I attended a workshop, and she's shown me how to do a very sacred towel. It's called rushnik, and it's also a tree. It's actually meant to be like a tree with the underworld, with the physical world, and with the divine world. And the more conscious we know which symbols means what, through meditation, we can receive these signs and the messages. And if we are connected, we just see the signs. And to the embroidery, because it's very slow, patient practice, you really connect with those energies throughout your whole life. And there are certain techniques where you don't cut the thread, where you don't put the knots in, because this is your unique life force energy. Your thread is the most sacred thing which keeps us alive. And the more aware we are and the conscious about this process, this is really like being like God or goddess, looking at our lives and really weaving what is meant for us. And this is how I started to pick up my literal thread, and and continue to dive deeper into the meanings of the symbols and into this tradition, which then led me to go on a trip for 2 months with the Trans-Siberian Railway, where I really went on very extensive travels to Russia, Kazakhstan, Mongolia, and learned more about, like, with indigenous women from those cultural backgrounds.
What was the connection? Sorry, do you have more to say?
Yeah, that's where I continue to learn more and more, because each culture has got different stories, different expressions through the embroidery, and this is what fascinates me. It's a language of forgotten feminine wisdom, and yeah, it made me starting to remember about my ancestral backgrounds, and yeah, and that's why I like to tell the story to other people, especially women. It could be a very powerful practice to start to dive deeper into our ancestral roots and culture.
Are there any specific stories, perhaps, or connections between women and weaving that you found to be most like impactful to you or most paramount in what you learned?
If there are similarities, well, what fascinates me is that it's like with the old paintings in the caves. They're very similar symbolism. It's mostly animals or sun, water, like the nature which you see immediately around you. It fascinates me, like in Kazakhstan, the most visible symbol, it looks like a heart, but those are actually horns of Aries, because this animal is used in many diverse ways. Whereas in Siberia, the most frequent symbol is like a deer, which has died out already. It's much bigger than a deer. It's like a meral, it's called. Massive horns, and they're considered to be most sacred animals in this cultural background, and you can see them in all cave paintings and textiles in all different forms and shapes. And I think this is so interesting.
So it's different patterns that come up.
Yes, different patterns, by observing the nature around what they see most of the time. That's why the moon, the sun, the tree, you can see that in all different forms, in all different cultures. Yeah. So I've got one passage here about how will the book help others. We can pick up our own threads of life and consciously shape and weave our destiny in the worldwide tapestry of life. We will feel connected to our own soul's purpose and with the people and universe all around. Connected on the human, spiritual, and universal level. Connected to our own soul and the soul of the world. We can live a co-creative life with our own soul and source. We will learn to get centered, get in touch with our own soul within, becoming a co-creative vessel through which the spirit expresses itself, called Wyrding Way in this book. Because weird also can mean that which has been woven. The three Norns in Norse mythology weave the destiny of us all. But when we center ourselves and pick up our unique destiny thread and connect with the web of Weird, which is the source, unconditional love, 0-point energy field, Akashic records, womb of all existence, there are so many different ways to describe it, then we ourselves become destiny weavers, just like the three Norns, and can consciously weave our own destiny. And why does the world need my story? Because most people feel disconnected and uprooted from their soul, their own roots, their own true nature. As a result, people also cannot relate to the bigger challenges like climate change, immigration, political upheavals. Nowadays, we can also take the corona crisis and so many other social and political challenges that we face today. The change starts within, with picking up of our unique destiny thread, our soul purpose, our unique calling or vocational arousal. That way, the revolution, the R is in brackets, starts inside. When everyone becomes a conscious destiny creator or weaver, then all different challenges from the outside will evolve at the same time, most naturally from the inside out. In my opinion, the world needs more co-creators, and this book is destined to be part of writing of a new story of co-creative destiny weavers around the world. This is another quote here. Call it a dream or the treasure hard to attain. Call it a vocation or the awakening of one's innate genius. Call it what you will. Upon hearing the call, we must follow or else lose the true thread of our lives.
Mm-hmm. Wow, that's super powerful, Erica.
Thank you. Maybe a bit more about my vision, and then I think that should be enough. So my vision altogether is to holding the thread and weaving our destiny together in co-creation. Women have always done something with their hands, and stitching has a long tradition in many different countries and cultures around the world. In Nordic mythologies, the three Norns, who sit by the world tree Yggdrasil, are known to weave the destiny not only of humans, but also gods, elves, and all other creatures from the physical realm. They hold the threads of the past, present, and the future. They are considered to be even more powerful than gods, since they hold the threads of destiny of all. They gain the wisdom from the Urbrunnen well by the roots of the world tree and by connecting to the void of emptiness known as the Gnanda gap or yawning gap. Yoni in Hindu tradition, yawning gasm is the portal to the womb of all existence. This is comparable to the womb of all existence or potentiality. I call that weird, which is also the rune of web of life of nothingness, and at the same time all possibilities. There is also a rune, this is the web of weird rune. Whilst the weird is nothingness, the web of weird contains all dimensions. And here we have again 9 different lines which form all the runes and all dimensions in the universe. So I find that fascinating.
So all the ruins are within that frame?
Yes. Within those 9 different dimensions, they're formed differently. Like this one is Manash for this week. I've drawn that week. But they all contain one of the 9, some of the 9 dimensions. And if you dive deeper in this rune wheel, which is like the Yggdrasil word tree, each like symbol has got a certain connection to the web of weird, which is the web of everything. We are woven in this web. I think this is fascinating.
Why do you think there are 9?
Sorry?
Why 9, do you think?
Why 9 dimensions? Well, it's actually in all different ancestral cultures. There are like 9 different worlds. It's like the Chinese, they've got what is called the Bagua, which is also we in the center, and 8 different energies. The human design has got also 9 energy centers. And even though most of the time we refer to 7 chakras, they're actually 9, because you also in old traditions, you take the low chakra on the feet and another chakra which connects us like the higher chakra. And then you've also have got 9. For example, in old Slavic traditions, you have got 9 energy centers. And in human design also, like, so in many different traditions, we have got this recurring 9. And numerology, you have also got 9 numbers, and then it goes to 0 and starts the new cycle again.
Wow.
Which is the 0, of course, is again the weird rune of nothingness, where everything originates from. So it's different kind of languages, different ways to make sense of the world. But I find it fascinating how there's one truth.
So 9 is like, if we have like a cup, like a goblet, like it being filled.
Yes. Yes. So it's a full cup, so to say.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So wouldn't you like to remember and pick up this mysterious art of consciously weaving your own thread of destiny? All over the world, women come together in circles to tell stories, stitch, sing, dance, or practice other handcrafts. Following the Slavic embroidery tradition, 7-year-old girls already start to stitch the destiny towers called rushnik. Stitching particular symbols to manifest certain things in their lives. In this tradition, women also stitch particular destinies through symbols for babies, married couples, deceased people, to take in their graves, and for certain other important occasions. This is a long and powerful tradition of consciously manifesting destiny. This mysterious art is usually passed on from elders to youngsters in women's circles. As a famous poem by Rainer Maria Rilke illustrates, destiny itself is like a wonderful white tapestry in which every thread is guided by an unspeakably tender hand, placed beside another thread and carried by 100 others. So wouldn't it be wonderful for each of us to pick up our own unique thread and weave this tapestry of life more consciously together, connected in the big void of emptiness of pure potentiality, the great womb of all existence? So may this book serve as an inspiration to create as many conscious weaving circles of women as possible, because this is also part of the feminine evolutionary leadership.
Wow.
And one quote about the circus as being known, seen, and loved is a kind of medicine. It is a high form of healing for the soul. We all long to belong and be connected in our humanness. Our rootedness in right relationships allows us to blossom into our divinity.
So what it sounds like to me is like that consciously manifesting destiny is like ritual and setting ritual intention through the practice of creation, whatever that creation is.
Yes. For me, it came through the practice of embroidery, which has been very transformational, but each one of us is unique. It's really like, for me, it's this invisible red thread, which is like a metaphor for our soul, which connects us like the umbilical cord, connects us to the soul of the world and the spirit and the source. And it's about connecting to your unique destiny thread. And then you automatically find your unique soul expression, and then you feel connected, you feel whole, and you feel connected. And that's why in my Facebook group, the picture is like a very famous picture by Autumn Sky, where the world is in the middle and it's being held by the threads and the hands. It's like the difference is only, are we holding it consciously? Because conscious individuals who hold the destiny thread, they'll always create something beautiful because it comes from wholeness. But if we feel disconnected, then we can also not create something beautiful because we are blocked, we are angry, we are traumatized. And so the healing comes through connecting with our unique destiny thread.
Mm-hmm. I had a question. I was wondering what role for you in your unique destiny thread, what role has religion played, or does religion play in your relationship to, the remembrance of your ancestors and the honoring of your future weavers?
Oh, that's an interesting question. I had a rather negative relationship to religion because the first 9 years when I was brought up in Kazakhstan, it was communist, a part of Soviet Union.
Mm-hmm.
So we have been atheists. So I had nothing to do with religion.
Mm-hmm.
But once we came to Germany, I'm the only one in my family who wanted to be baptized because in a very young age I was already seeing angels and Jesus Christ, and I always felt very connected to this higher realms. And but for me it was never to do with any kind of institutionalized religion because I was not brought up with any kind of religion. So it was my longing to my own unique spirituality. So, and also with the reconnection of this embroidery practice, it brings me even closer to my own unique connection to my soul, which is the bridge then to the source. But the religion, I associate religion with institutionalized, religion, which has been institutionalized by others outside sources, whilst this practice is coming more and more close to my own self, home within myself. Because just because I'm breathing, it's a miracle. Something is breathing me, and I feel the most happy and whole when I have a relationship with the source directly, not having to practice any kind of specific things.
It coming from the inside out.
Yes.
I wonder if I wonder what your process of remembering your ancestors' purpose and what they did, and the complex realities like their trauma, their threads. I wonder what that was like for you.
Well, the reconnection with the threads was not always very nice because it's like the process of becoming a big whole tree. If you get to the roots, and it's actually our souls are descending because many people want to rise, and most of the spiritual people, they always want to ascend and go high, and but the soul is actually a process of descending to make all the human experience through the body. And that's where the womb apprenticeship, where we are both in the biomystical womb apprenticeship, it's going deep and really descend also into the dark, because the womb is dark. 99% everything in the universe is dark matter. And it's like this popular ice mountain, iceberg. It's like the most part, over 95%, is in the dark.
Mm-hmm.
And the process of reconnection, it can be very painful because it brings up a lot of things from the shadow, from the dark, and brings it to the surface. So for me, it was not nice to look at my traumas as a child and how disconnected I felt for over 30 years. I didn't feel like I belong on this human earth. And where are my roots? I always felt very disconnected from my roots, which I was. Yeah, until I started to really consciously learn about this ancestor practice, and that's why I'm part of the biomystical womb apprenticeship, because we are doing those exercises of reconnecting with our ancestors and reweave those broken parts back. Only I call it connection to the weird, but this is a different word, like for the womb, for all existence. And it's a descending process. It's going deeper and deeper. It really feels like the soul wants to make all those experiences, all those, even like really the hardest experiences. It's of going deep and then transcending in, and then you become more whole.
By filling in the spaces or realizing the space, the deep space within us.
Yes. This deep space within us, like weird, it's all within us as well.
And I really like that word weird because it feels very humanizing and very like, yeah, this process of digging deep is weird. And it's weird as in weaving.
Yes, and I actually have got my motto, which I write a lot of times, is like, this is my individual story from weird to a weirding. From weird, which also comes from the unknown, we cannot make sense, is strange, to this is my experience from being separated and uprooted and disillusioned most of my life,
Mm-hmm.
to the process of weirding, which is then holding the thread and weaving from the sense of belonging and wholeness. It's a conscious destiny weaver. And I also love this wording. That's why I always write like the hashtag brave to be weird. I like that play on the words. It contains very strong energy, weird. If we chant it very often, you can really feel the connection.
Really.
What otherwise is like we don't know how to work with the unknown, with this dark matter. A lot of people don't do room practices. That's why we do a lot of room singing. This is exactly the same. You can, like the runes, for example, they're also chanted normally, because through this chanting, to our own voice and the vibration which we create the moment we connect with this space.
So it's literally like between our wombs, creating a rope or a lifeline to pull to keep our womb like connected to our what's coming out.
Yes, it's like you've got this umbilical cord which is being cut off, our birth, the navel, around the navel.
Wow.
We can consciously, through our voice, through our breath, we can consciously create our experiences. The more often we do that, it's a vibration. You get more and more connected to that. You see also the invisible timelines, like the Norns. You start to see all those timelines around you. You can travel on the timelines, and from the present moment, we can heal anything, which is also in the womb. Everything is stored in the womb, all the DNA and from all our ancestors. Everything is stored in the womb.
Could you explain what traveling like any timeline means to you?
Well, because the whole web is like woven through those different strings. I mean, the astrophysicists call it strings, that the whole universe is made up of strings. This is nothing different than the timelines. Everything is woven together. Those are vibrations. Strings are vibrations. And the more sensual you become, you start to do like travels, like shamanic journeys or travels, like in a dream state. You can travel through time. Because there is, in the womb of all existence, or in the weird space, there is no time. So you can instantly travel everywhere you want to go to. Mm. This is what shamans doing. I mean, they're going in a dreamlike state in the trance. This is a different way of shamanic journeying. And then you travel there where maybe there's still something to be healed. And then you heal it.
Mm-hmm. Was the process of weaving like specific symbols onto clothing from your experience, or what you observed from other young women? Did you observe that as like a moment of connecting that symbol with the tree? Can you talk about that experience of weaving the symbols onto the clothing, what that brought up?
Yeah, when I learned through the soul tree horoscopes, my 7 energies, which are also the certain symbols of those goddess energies, I was very intrigued. Like, I've got the cards of those different symbols, but it didn't feel as powerful like as my call to do it with my own hands, to weave it on the dress. And as it happens, one of the goddesses, that's her symbol. This is the muse. So whenever I want to be inspired or anything, obviously I can wear this dress and I'm really connected with this energy, but I can paint it, I can embroider it. It's very powerful. Like I've actually embroidered all 20 symbols. I put it in like a pouch, which is also like the womb. And I do like readings where we can draw a symbol, like, for example, who wants to come to us today? Here, this one. And like in the womb, the energies they carry inside of them.
Yeah.
It's the communicator or the bridge builder. Passes the communication from the divine to earth. The symbol can invite people, spirit guides, and all other energies of service. Can it be resolved? It can be used to resolve conflicts. So the more fine sensitive you get, you can observe when you paint them. I do my paintings, for example, also with those symbols inside. And then I really connect, because if I know which energies they carry, like the runes, I consciously invite something in, or if I've got a problem, I can look up which of the symbols can help me.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, some people think this is like woohoo, boo-woo. But for me, it's like very, very powerful. And I see it in my life, my everyday life, how we can consciously then create and work with energies.
It's like tarot cards.
Yes, yes. Exactly. Or like the oracle cards, which like I've drawn in the beginning, this is also a form of symbolism. And the divine world communicates to us in a certain physical form, and there are many signs. And it's for us, we either see them or we just close off. And if a person doesn't want to see and thinks this is crazy, then it doesn't reach them in that way. Maybe it will reach them in a different way. Sometimes it's diseases or wake-up calls in a different way if you want to see the signs. And I personally, I choose to consciously be connected with how the divine is expressing to me, instead of being like a marionette. I think this is such a nice metaphor, like other people pulling the strings and you're just like moving like other wants it. Whilst this is really being a creator of your own destiny. You hold it in your hand, your thread, and you decide what you do with it.
Mm-hmm. It's interesting that you say marionette because I've done some research on puppetry and marionettes.
Uh-huh. What did you find out? Something like poignant to share with us?
Yeah, it's kind of like you just said, kind of like the inside out thing. Um, it's exactly like the inverse of being a human. So it's like instead of us having free will and being able to create our destiny, it's like um, someone else completely controlling, or yeah, the strings and the energetic chords and
Mm-hmm.
controlling every move. So in a
Exactly.
way, it's kind of a empowering thing to use puppets, but you don't want to be a puppet.
Exactly. That's the difference, because if you're like the observer or like God goddess, then you create consciously what you want to do with marionettes. This is very similar to when you do sacred embroidery. You know exactly what you do, which symbols to use, how to use the needle, the threads. And
Mm-hmm.
the other way around, you're just lost in all different kind of influences.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I like this very much, the metaphor of the puppet. So
Me too.
I think if you've got no other questions, I was planning to do it until 11:30. It's very late here. I think where you are as well, isn't it? Is in Israel you are?
Mm-hmm.
So it's also the same. It's 11:30 already.
Or it's 1 hour ahead, so it's 12:30. Or
Oh, so it's even later.
that's okay. I'm still happy to be here and glad to have learned this sacred wisdom from you, Erica. Very inspiring and eye-opening and informative of how to move forward with wisdom and um, following my own destiny and taking control. Because if I don't do it now, it's like you said, it's something that can just be pushed aside or forgotten about, or
Mm,
while you remember it, like you also said, it's like so many different small little like small tender things that have built upon each other.
mm,
So the more I listen to it, and by receiving this wisdom for you, it is orienting me into that space even more, to receive that more and more.
mm. I'm so happy to hear that. Very happy. And thank you that you have been here and asked me great questions and listening. sharing the space together. Thank you very much.
Thank you for having me.
So send you loving blessings to Israel,
Thank you.
to the night, into the
Night.
weird space.
Weird space.
Yeah, thank you. Until we meet the next time again. Probably see each other on Monday, don't we?
Yes. Or yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Erica.
Blagadaru, many blessings.
Blessings to you. Thank you for your wisdom again.
Thank you for being there.
Good night.